Hey guys, it's Mathel here once again with the follow-up conclusion video for the endgame of Bow, Cast on Crit, Volatile Dead, Desecrate, Detonate Dead, Elementalist. Nailed it. Overall, just a ridiculous build, basically. I think it might be the most unethical and silly build I've played, possibly ever. Not necessarily the most well-rounded, just simply because I do feel I have a gap in my defenses for elemental/spell damage. But other than that, like really good fizz reduction, really good recovery, and insane clear and insane DPS. So this is just an example of a regular map that's going into a tier 16 Guardian, Shaper Guardian, and maps were pretty much just a dream to play on this character, though you can currently see I'm using Blast Rain. That was just a test for a map clear, I suppose, but using Rain of Arrows provides a nicer spread for clear, and I was using Rain of Arrows throughout the entire character for its AoE portion, but Blast Rain has a much nicer overlap, so for single target you use Blast Rain, and you can use Blast Rain for clear if you'd rather, just so you never have to swap and get your maximum output, but I much preferred using Rain of Arrows while clearing and doing plenty of the bigger content like a Flawless Tulip Breachstone, Simulacrum in the high waves. I did my 200 Splinter challenge on this character as well, but now we just start having a look at a bit of the DPS. As you can see, it is pretty damn tasty. I'm not sure I've ever had such big, reliable DPS before. I feel like this is comparative to Absolution, which was probably the biggest DPS I've had. Absolution Durani's prototype, but that was a bit less reliable because you had to get your minions up and make sure that they're proccing and doing damage. And it was, yeah, at times a bit worse, whereas this one is pretty much on-demand, insane DPS, and ended up taking on the entire game pretty comfortably. Did, you know, all the 4-ways, 5-ways, Uber bosses, plenty of invites all at once with various mods and shenanigans, and it feels like, I don't know, 50 to 100 million DPS, I have no idea. So this is the 200 Splinter challenge that you need to do for one of your challenges, and essentially you just line up. In this case, I've been trying Tropical Island just on my previous character. Basically, I was told Tropical Island's a good way to go, so you chuck on some Sextants, you do extra breaches with Scarabs, Elder mobs, Veritania, Eldritch mobs, and Blight map, Alva. Basically juice it as much as you can, and then you've got Delirium happening. And this is the second portion of the Tropical Island when things really start to get tanky, and this character basically is still just blasted through everything in its way, even in that second half of the Delirium portion. It definitely started to get a bit laggy because, I mean, there was just so much going on and things were starting to, like, survive more than they should have with Double Beyond on it as well. But yeah, it got there in the end, didn't die, and did one map, so it got it on its first challenge and did 200 splinters, so that was pretty damn clean. This is just the very end where we're getting to the boss. 200 splinters, first try, 220 splinters, first try on this character for that challenge, so it was pretty damn insane. What else have we got? Flawless Tulip Breachstones. I definitely have never had a character come close to this level of output on Flawless Tulip Breachstone. It wasn't even remotely a challenge. I could keep up with the timer and the wave progress forward, whatever the fuck, and be pretty reliably tanky against whatever they're throwing at me. If it's got a lot of extra early damage and penetration and stuff, I mean, yeah, it's possible to take some damage through Arch Nemesis, but I even managed to carry someone else through this challenge, and it felt no different. 2-player HP. I imagine you could carry more. Since Detonate Dead and Volatile Dead do scale nicely with health, that means that we just keep obliterating, and this is a good example with Rain of Arrows. You just shoot out a wave like well in front of you that covers half the screen, and it makes clear pretty damn brainless and pretty damn easy. And flawless Shielders, flawless Breachstones in general, just I haven't come remotely close. This has to be about 3 times better than the next best Breachstone clearer I've ever had. And that's pretty ridiculous, because I've had some okay ones in the past where I thought I made a nice little build, and then of course the flawless Shieler itself with Maven on it just doesn't even exist. It was pretty damn ridiculous. Then we've got Uber Cortex. It felt like regular Cortex. It really depends on the map mods that you're going to get. You might get some pretty scuffed ones that reduce damage taken. It shouldn't really make a difference. If they have a bunch of extra like damage that they're going to do, then maybe they can one-shot you or something. So it can still be a bit annoying, but yeah, it's pretty clean. I did test Exarch and Eater of Worlds. There's no real point in posting an Exarch video. I can't take the ball phases, so had to like try and dodge them, and the golems fuck up the dodging as well. So it's just a bit of a graveyard zerg. Get through a couple of phases, quick DPS, and then just move on, and then zone back in. Bit of a graveyard zerg, is what it is. But this is Eater of Worlds, which is pretty good DPS and decent enough survivability. Like I said, I'm very thick against physical, not super thick against elemental, and a lot of these guys' attacks are elemental, but you can still do it without dying and still managing to take some hits. It's not quite too bad. So the only other thing to really talk about is the Spectre or Corpse setup. So throughout basically the entire video and the entire character, I was just running Desecrate, and it's Phantasmal Desecrate that spawns Forgotten Corpses. This is Maven getting absolutely brutalized in Uber Maven. And with the Phantasmal Desecrate, it spawns these Forgotten Corpses, which I think have a bit more life than regular ones, and I also use it in Enhance, and that was good enough for everything out there. DPS is pretty ridiculous. However, you can use a Spectre gem at some point in your setup to go into Solaris Temple in Act 3 and pick up an Auric Colossus, I think it is, which is just like a big statue thing. Just summon it once, and then it'll get added to your pool of Desecrate, and that essentially has much more life than regular Desecrate summons. So that'll give you a lot more damage, and I did try it in the end, and it did seem like maybe adding an extra link to my setup, so it was definitely more damage and definitely worth doing if it's not going to get changed or fixed or anything in the future, because it's just free output. But you can go without it if you really want and do this other Desecrate setup, or you can ignore that Desecrate setup and then just go the Spectre thing. All in all, damage just ends up being completely filthy either way. So not sure what else to say. I mean, it took me like, what, 20 to 30x to put this character together. If you put it together yourself, obviously there's going to be differences in prices and things, and you're not really going to be league starting at this level of output, but you could start with like a self-cast build that transitions into a cast on crit and slowly ramps its way through, especially if you use the Spectres. That's a huge bridging gap for damage and gear. So it's possible, if you know what you're doing, to kind of start this out at maybe the start of a league. If you're gonna go the corpse scaling route, then you probably have to just play a Necromancer, since getting the Forbidden Jewels is going to be tough, and you'll still get plenty of output through that. But I think it's pretty versatile, and you could in theory play it through Inquisitor, Assassin, Raider if you want to go really fast, etc, etc. So yeah, I'm just going to leave you with a really quick feared kill. Does a whole bunch of shit, really good DPS. Hope you guys enjoyed the character. It was probably the most busted thing I've ever played. Thank you very much for watching, and see you next time. Theory, and then, is that Cortex? Yeah, that's Shaper. Okay. I'm gonna die to Shaper, guaranteed. 4 additional approach. Oh, fuck, I forgot that the approach doubles. Yikes. Yeah, there's gonna be some deaths here for sure.
At least die with some flair. Take this fantastic. Strong and hot.
Nope.
Mortal flesh is so fallible. Such wide
Deathless?
inspiration.
Literally deathless? God damn.
Repeat my challenge. Gather more combatants.
I was about to get dicked at any moment. Clean.